First is literature. Don Quixote, Miguel de Cervantes. This is not there. I'm reading that. Okay. This is the community, teacher and the community. As a teacher, it is pivotal that you have a say on crucial problems that affect the society. With which philosophy do you adhere or adhere to? Counts. If one were to follow Dewey's view of education, which type of teacher needs to be manifested? Teacher advocates meaningful interaction among learners. Ang answer kay teacher should allow reflection of past and examine which is relevant in the present. Which scenario is rooted in Spencer's educational view? Teacher Mara wants her students to focus on a specific field to help the community. The school wants the students to focus on holistic learning, which K period has the same point. Athenian education. Ang Reformation education kay inclusive. Ang Spartan education kay militar, then Roman education kay civic. Which among the following draws inspiration from Renaissance education? Teacher Anna encourages her students to review class arts and integrate lessons in their lives, which manifest anticipatory socialization. The answer is Anna enrolls in the review center in preparation for the let. The following can be traced as an influence for Japanese occupation, except institutionalization of private education, love for work and dignity of labor, C. Proliferation of Philippine literature, D. Denial of Western influence. The answer is institutionalization of private education. It is Commonwealth. Who was the first to successfully implement the public education system in the Philippines? Spaniards. Which activity less adheres to the teacher code of ethics focusing on the community? Teacher Anna does not actively involve herself in PTCA matters. What is a major contribution of the American occupation? Public education. The teacher finds Anna finds her teacher in mathematics informative while her classmate Annie finds the teacher boring. Under symbolic interactionist theory, what does this manifest? Different people may give different meanings to the same thing. Which social theory has no direct teaching implication? Conflict theory. What is a manifestation of the economic purpose of teaching? The answer is school teaches employment skills to students. Miranda hates to fall in line when paying for her bills. To avoid such, she asks a friend who happens to be unemployed to cut the line. What negative attitude does this show? Extreme personalism. After failing her exam, Annie blamed how this year is unlucky year for her. Lack of self-analysis and self-reflection, which is not true of SDGs. A. It is aimed at being realized by 2030. B. It is primarily concerned with the needs of developed countries. C. It involves the issues and concerns of rich countries. D. It is related to MDGs. The answer is it is primarily concerned with the needs of the underdeveloped countries, which SDG focuses on ensuring what the developed countries will only produce and consume what's adequate to avoid excess waste. The answer is responsible consumption and production. If you were bullied because of your sexual orientation, which form of violence does this manifest? Emotional. This phenomenon causes fear, insecurity, violence, and death, usually of innocent people. Terrorism. Why? Which are the two major contributions of the school to the community in terms of partnership, venue, and training? What should a teacher not do in case a parent complains about her student's grades? Tell other students about the issue. In terms of types of stakeholders which does not belong to the group. A. LGU officials. B. Ex-PTCA officials. C. Students. NGOs internal. The answer, students. Which can be manifestation of the Filipino extreme family-centeredness. Nepotism. Teacher Sabrina finds her subject complex as a facilitator of learning. What should she do? Use strategies that would make topics more concrete and less complex. Manny prepares his plan and asks his subordinates before reaching a decision. Which leadership style does he manifest? Consultative. Which scenario best requires that the participating leadership style under the situational leadership model? Ella, who is doubtful of her capabilities in her work. Linda, who is capable but not motivated to work, kay S2. Marie, who is freshly hired employee, is S1. Dan, who is highly capable in doing her task, S4. The following can be done by a transformational leader, except find ways to maintain the status quo, which is true of a leader, empowers his people. Rich countries tend to produce more than what is needed, which results in many forms of pollutants. To combat this, with SDG has been targeted. The answer is ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. According to millennials, which is considered to be the least among the top 10 social problems, employment opportunities. Principal Ryan has set goals of the company through plotting them on a visual board. He has also created long-term action plans. Which skill has the principal displayed? Conceptual. Which concept is associated with Herbert Spencer? Survival of the fittest. Which type of leadership requires the general approval of all stakeholders when introducing forms of innovation? The answer is transformational leadership. What is the best thing to do when a teacher is immersed in a community? The answer is rebuke communities' unhealthy practices tactfully and respectfully. 35. Based on the situational leadership model, how do you handle employees through coaching? The answer is integrate reward systems to improve mechanisms on job satisfaction. Um, halo-halo niya akong masama. Psychoanalytic theory, Freud's three personality components, Ed pleasure principle, the idea that all of your needs should be met immediately. Psychoanalytic theory, hapon Freud, ego, reality principle, is the idea that the desires of the egg must be satisfied in a method that is socially appropriate and realistic. Ego is aware that others also needs to be met. Practical, logical, and rational balances the two extremes. Superego conscience pushes you to obtain the ego ideal, your view of what is right. Then phallic stage, ages 3 to 6 years. The pleasure or erogenous zone is the genitals. The child derives pleasure from masturbation. Preschoolers will sometimes be seen fondling their genitals. During preschool age, children become interested in what makes boys and girls different. Oedipus complex. Boys develop unconscious sexual desire for their mother. Boys see their father as a rival for their mother's affection. Oedipus in Greek mythology, he unintentionally killed his father and married his mother, Jacusta. Electra complex, Carl Jones, female equivalent to Freud's Oedipus complex. Girls may develop an unconscious sexual attraction towards their father. Latency stage, age 6 to puberty. Sexual urges remain repressed. The children's focus is the acquisition of physical and academic skills. Genital stage, puberty onwards. Sexual urges are again awakened. Adolescents focus their sexual urges towards the opposite sex, with pleasure centered on the genitals. Nasaag ang Freud's three personality components: id, pleasure principle, ego, reality principle, superego, conscience. Psychodynamic theories. 1. Psychoanalytic theories by Sigmund Freud. 2. Psychosocial theory by Erik Erikson. Sigmund Freud believes that our actions are results of hidden unconscious desires. The unconscious is a repository of memories, fears, hopes, etc. Freud's psychosexual stages of development: oral stage, birth to 18 months; anal stage 18 months to 3 years; phallic stage, ages 3 to 6 years; latency stage, age 6 to puberty; genital stage, puberty onwards; oral stage, birth to 18 months; erogenous zone, pleasure area, mouth. The child enjoys sucking, biting, breastfeeding, putting things in mouth, swallowing, etc. Oral stage, birth to 18 months. Oral receptive, a type of personality which has a stronger tendency to smoke, drink alcohol, or overeat. Oral aggressive, a tendency to bite his or her nails or use curse words or even gossip. Anal stage, 18 months to 3 years. Anal retentive, an obsession with cleanliness, perfection and control, intolerance, passive aggression, and meanness. Anal expulsive, the person becomes messy and disorganized, defiance, recklessness, and excessive generosity. Freud's topographical model, all that we are aware of, conscious mind. What we reveal is the conscious mind, and this is the part of us that we can reach if prompted but is not in our active conscious, subconscious, preconscious mind. Then unconscious mind kay all that we are aware of, all that we are not aware of, that we conceal, or what we conceal. Non-conscious mind, all that we are not aware of, have not experienced, and that has not been made part of our personalities mo na ang unconscious mind. Psychosocial theory. Erickson's theory delved into how personality was formed and believed that the earlier stages serve as a foundation for later stages, and highlighted the influence of one's environment, particularly on how earlier experience gradually build upon the next and result into one's personality. Psychosocial theory still. Psychosocial crisis. Each stage involves a psychosocial crisis of two opposing emotional forces or contrary dispositions. Each stage relates to a corresponding life stage and its inherent challenges. According to Erickson, syntonic or positive disposition in each crisis. Trust. Dystonic negative disposition, mistrust. Psychosocial theory gihapon kay if a stage is managed well, we carry away a certain virtue or psychosocial strength. Maladaptation. Still, it is Erickson's theory. Maladaptation is not quite as bad. Involves too much of the positive and too little of the negative. Example, a person who trusts too much. Trusts too much. Malignancy involves too little of the positive and too much of the negative aspects of the task. Example, a person who can't trust others. Then psychosocial theory gihapon kay early childhood, autonomy versus shame and doubt. Tapos will. Then infancy, trust versus mistrust, hope, wisdom, maturity, ego, integrity versus despair. Care, middle adulthood, generativity versus stagnation. Love, young adulthood, intimacy versus isolation. Fidelity, adolescence, identity versus role confusion. School age, industry versus inferiority, competence. Preschool, initiative versus guilt. Purpose sa life din. Stage 1, infancy. Trust versus mistrust. Young virtue kay hope. Ang maladaptation kay sensory maladjustment. Malignancy, withdrawal. Ang maladaptation or sensory maladjustment kay overly trusting, gullible, cannot believe that anyone would mean them harm. Ang virtue or niya kay hope, the belief that even when things are not going well, they will work out well in the end. Malignancy, withdrawal, characterized by depression, paranoia, possibly psychosis. Then, stage 2, toddlers, autonomy versus shame. And autonomy versus shame and doubt. Maladaptation, impulsiveness. Then, malignancy, compulsiveness, virtue, willpower, or determination. Ang maladaptation nga impulsiveness kay shameless, willfulness leads to jumping into things without proper consideration. Virtue na willpower or determination kay can-do attitude. Malignancy, compulsiveness, feels as if everything must be done perfectly. Mistakes must be avoided at all costs. Stage 3, preschool years, initiative versus guilt. Maladaptation, ruthlessness, malignancy, inhibition, virtue, courage. Ang maladaptation, ruthlessness kay heartless, unfeeling, they don't care who they step on. Ang iyang malignancy or inhibition kay the fear that if they fail, they will be blamed. Nothing ventured, nothing lost. Virtue, courage. the capacity for action despite a clear understanding of your limitations and past failings. Stage 4 Elementary School Years. Industry versus inferiority. Virtue competency. Maladaptation narrow virtuosity. Those who aren't allowed to be children, pushed into one area of competency. Malignancy inertia. Those who suffer inferiority complexes. If at first you don't succeed, don't ever try again. Stage 5 Adolescence. Identity versus role confusion. Maladaptation fanaticism. Gather around others there and promote their beliefs and lifestyles without regards to others' rights to disagree. Virtue fidelity. Ability to live by society's standard. It means you have found a place in the community. Malignancy. Hindi lagi mo kung research ano. Di ko ako basa. Stage 5 of adolescence. Nagahang akong laptop. Makita. Malignancy die adolescent. Stage 5 adolescence. Adolescence. Malignancy. Then, lobat na siya. Lain na ning ask nga kwan eh. Makatawag tama na answer. Libre sa Google. Google tabi. No, so long. Ay, okay. Okay, repudiation. Stage 5 adolescents, malignancy repudiation may reject their membership in the world of adults and they reject their need of for an identity. Stage 6 early adulthood, intimacy versus isolation, virtue, love, maladaptation, promiscuity, tendency to become intimate too freely, too easily, and without any depth to your intimacy. Virtue, love. It includes not only the love we find in a good marriage, but the love between friends and the love one's neighbor, co-worker, and compatriot as well. Malignancy, exclusion, tendency to isolate oneself from one love, friendship, friendship, and community, and develop a certain hatefulness in compensation for one's loneliness. Stage 7 Middle Adulthood, Generativity versus Stagnation, Maladaptation, Overt Extension, no longer allow time for themselves. Virtue, Caring, Malignancy, Rejectivity, no longer participate in activities or contribute to society. Stage 8 Late Adulthood, Integrity versus Despair, Virtue, Wisdom, Maladaptation, Presumption. This is what happens when a person presumes ego integrity without actually facing the difficulties of old age, believes that he alone is right. Malignancy, disdain, to a contempt of life, one's own or anyone's. The person becomes very negative and appears to hate life. Okay. And that's all katong sa mga theories dito na side. Then, social studies. the Philippine presidents who is considered to be the first Senate president elected as the President of the Philippines who then initiated women's suffrage. Manuel L. Quezon, who among the Philippine presidents signed the Family Code of 1987 and 1191 Local Government Code. Corazon Aquino, the first Filipino was appointed by the Americans as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Cayetano Arellano. The incident that led to the outbreak of Filipino-American War was the San Juan Bridge incident, where a Filipino soldier was shot by an American sentry. The Americans acquired the Philippines as their colony because Spain ceded the Philippines by virtue of the Treaty of Paris in 1898. Who is this Philippine president whose presidency was referred to as the golden years due to lack of corruption, and the first president who wore barong Tagalog during his inauguration, Ramon Magsaysay. Colonization of the Philippines by Spain is best to describe as done through the sword and cross because they have to make sure that colonization was accomplished. The Katipunan was a movement founded by Bonifacio. What was its major objective? Separation of the Philippines from Spain. The greatest contribution of Spain to Filipino culture was Christianization of the Filipinos, which enacted by the U.S. Congress in 1916 established in bicameral legislature in the Philippines with the Senate as upper house and House of Representatives as lower house to be composed of elected Filipinos. John's Law. Governor-General Narciso Claverio was responsible for use of Spanish surnames by Filipinos. Who is the Philippine president known for his program Filipino Policy? Carlos Garcia. The Agrarian Reform Program instituted by President Diosdado Macapagal, which intended to give land to the landless tenants, was Agricultural Land Reform Code, ALRC. The Philippine president was among the founders of the Association of Southeast Asia, the precursor of the ASEAN. Who is this president? Carlos Garcia. It is the department that has the authority to make laws, alter or repeal them. Administrative department, executive department, judicial department, legislative department. Ang answer ay legislative department. It is the power of the state to regulate individuals' rights and behavior for the general welfare. The answer is police power. In which form of government does power or authority resides in a few persons who govern for their own interest? Aristocracy. When one controls the supply or production of goods, this implies monopoly. States that when prices increases, the supply of a certain product will also increase. Law of supply. Who is the Philippine president known as the father of social justice and national language? Manuel L. Quezon. The president during the Japanese occupation, Laurel. Who is considered the father of sociology? Auguste Comte. Who is the first president of the Commonwealth period? Manuel L. Quezon. Considered to be the first Mindanaoan to hold office and the oldest person to assume Philippine presidency, Rodrigo Duterte. The president who was known for his Philippines 2000, which is meant to make the Philippines an economically developed country, Fidel V. Ramos. Who is considered to be the longest living president, who died in the age of 94, Emilio Aguinaldo. The only president who made the peso the best performing currency of the year in Asia and created EVAT law. Who is this president? Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. The government wants a piece of private land for a government project. The owner resisted the government's demand. How may the government own the land? Right of eminent domain. Which situation is the best example of a culture shock? A native from New Zealand is so afraid of the big crowd in malls and along the roads during rush hours that he remarks so many people, under which group of the churchgoers in a cathedral fall. Secondary group. Which statement is true of the pre-Spanish Filipino government? The Dato exercised all power of government. The following are characteristics of government established by the 1987 Constitution except A. Presidential system of government with three branches. B. Parliamentary system of government. C. The three branches of government are separated and independent of one another. The three branches of government have a check and balance over one another. The answer is parliamentary system of government. I accept none. If our present government is a democracy, where does power reside? In the Filipino people. In President Quezon's time, the country had the Philippine Commonwealth. What is true about Philippine Commonwealth? The Filipino people, blank, were, were partially independent. In the decade of the 70s, one clamor of the activists who staged street demonstrations on the streets was down with the oligarchs. What did they accuse the government of? As suggested by the underlined word government was a rule of the few rich, with the Batasang Pambansa performing legislative and executive powers in the Marcos regime. Which form of government was implemented? Parliamentary. What form of government is characterized by the separation of powers? Presidential. Which type of political system do we belong? Democracy. In which form of government does power or authority reside in a few persons who govern their interest? Oligarchy. Which of the following represents the smallest subunit of government in the Philippines at present? Barangay. The Philippine government is divided into three branches: executive, legislative, and judiciary. Which among the following doctrines best describes the model of governance in the Philippines? Separation of powers. The Philippine legislature is divided into two major bodies, the Senate and the House of Representatives. Representatives. Which among the following best describes the division of the legislative body of the country? Basta na body kay bicameralism. Which type of government is characterized by a union partially self-governing states or regions united by a central government? Federalism. In England, Queen Elizabeth acts as head of state. This country also has a parliament and a prime minister. Which among the following best describes the form of government in this country? Constitutional monarchy. In which form of government is all citizens treated as equals on certain dimensions such as religion, politics, economics, social status, and culture? Egalitarianism. What human right is violated when one opens a letter without permission from the addressee? Right to privacy of communication and correspondence. When an individual is imprisoned without proper investigation, what right is violated? Right to due process of law. What law was passed by Philippine Congress in 1995 which affirms the total integration of persons with disabilities into the mainstream of society? Republic Act number 7277. Which is the best definition of inclusive education endorsed by DepEd? It is flexible and individualized support system for children and youth with special education needs to prepare teachers to handle inclusive education. What specialization is offered in teacher education institutions? The answer is special education. Gen Ed. Which situation is the best example of a culture shock? A native from New Zealand is so afraid of big crowd in malls along the roads during rush hours that he remarks so many people. Okay, balik siya. Under which group do the Sunday church goers and cathedral fall? Secondary group, which does one portray when he thinks that what is foreign is best and what is local is inferior? Xenocentrism, upon which is based the claim that there is no single universal standard to be used to judge any culture based cultural relativism. You will be in good hands when your host is a Filipino, because one outstanding trait of Filipinos is hospitality. The Philippines is dominantly a Christian country in the Orient, yet according to the survey, it is the top 5 as the most corrupt nation in Asia. What does this point to in Philippine society? Lack of cultural integration. You have to take extra care when you critique the work of a Filipino. Your negative comment may be mistaken to be an attack against his or her person, upon which Filipino trait is this advice based. Extreme personalism. The expression probably connotes ethnocentrism, when a person shows the ability to understand and appreciate the similarities and differences in the costumes, values, and beliefs of one's culture, he or she is said to possess multicultural literacy, which is the base of a triangle that shapes us into what we are: heredity. Which statement is true of the pre-Spanish Filipino government? The Dato exercised all power of government. The following are characteristics of government established by the 1987 Constitution, except a presidential system of government with 3 branches, B. Parliamentary system of government, C. The 3 branches of government are separate and independent of one another, the 3 branches of government have a check and balance over one another. The answer is parliamentary system of government. And our present government is a democracy where the power reside in the Filipino people. In President Quezon's time, the country had a Philippine Commonwealth. What is true about the Philippine Commonwealth? The Filipino people were partially independent. In the decade of the 70s, one clamor of the activists who staged street demonstrations on the street was done with the oligarchs. What did they accuse the government of? As suggested by underlined word, government was a rule of a few rich, with the Batasang Pambansa performing legislative and executive powers. In the Marcos regime, which form of government was implemented? Parliamentary. What form of government is characterized by the separation of powers? Presidential. To which type of political system do we belong? Capitalism, democracy, totalitarianism, colonialism? The answer is democracy. In which form of government does power or authority reside in a few persons who govern for their interest? Oligarchy. Which of the following represents the smallest subunit of the government in the Philippines at present? Barangay. The Philippine government is divided into 3 branches: executive, legislative, and judiciary. Which among the following doctrines best describes the model of governance in the Philippines? Separation of powers. The Philippines legislature is balik namin. 1. Kapoy man yung kuan highlight. Okay, 20C. Okay, basahan ako. The speaker realizes the value of listening to pieces of advice. The answer: the speaker realizes the folly and pain of youthful love. 19B. What 17th century philosophy does Browning assert in the following lines from Rabbi Ben Ezra? I note that batters well, that metaphor and feel, why time spins fast, why passive lies are clay, thou to whom fools propound, when the wine makes its round, since life fleets, all is changed, the past gone sees today. The Carpe Diem. Okay. 18C. Which of the following best states theme of Ozymandias? Powerful rulers and great civilizations perish. Okay, 17. What does the lamb in the lamb symbolize? The 19B, 17B. Innocence and purity. Then 16. To what sensory perception do the following lines from James Joyce Arabi appeal? We ran to the dark, dripping gardens to the back doors of the dark, dripping gardens where odors arose from the ash pits to the dark, odorous stables where a couch man smoothed and combed the horse, or shook music from the buckled harness. The answer is olfactory. 15C. Which word best describes the speaker and to Lucasta on going to the wars? The answer is honorable. 14, letter B. Into the virgins to make much of time. What is the persona's main message? The answer is marry now or you may never have another chance. 13. Letter C. Which statement about love is true based on Shakespeare's sonnet 116? Love never wanes over an old age. 12. Letter A. What does the word swellest in the Holy Sonnet X mean? Boast. 11. Which statement best summarizes the Holy Sonnet X by John Donne? Donne. Letter D. That should not be proud since it is not mighty. Okay. Kapuyan. 10. Letter C. What type of sonnet is exemplified in the following lines? Okay. The wind stood up and gave a shout. He whistled in his 2 fingers. Nawala ko na 10. Letter C. Petrarchan. Okay, 9. What figure of speech is exemplified below? The wind stood up and gave a shout. He whistled. 9. Letter D. Personification. Then 8. Which 2 sound devices did Alexander Pope use in the following lines? So, katong kaso ano yun? Dili na ako magsugod eh. English ni siya. What does the poem celebrates as shown in line 1 to 2? The best answer is B. My heart leaps up, connotes a strong love of or reverence for nature as represented by the rainbow. It shows the persona's extreme happiness, if not awe, with nature, so he hopes to maintain a natural piety until his death. Option A, C, and D all focuses on different subjects, so reverence for nature ang answer. 2. What does the persona wish in the last 2 lines? That he continues to be connected to nature. The best answer is, okay, tinabalik ko na. What figure of speech does Wordsworth use in line 7? Provide distractors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wishes to keep that youthful innocent thought. Paradox. What is the tone of the following lines from Shakespeare's Hamlet? What a piece of work is a man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, in form and moving, how express and admirable. The answer is 9A. BC. Tarungan saan ako? Letter number 8 kay BACA. BACA. B A C C C C A. Then 4 DACB 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 D okay D A C number 1 D. Ito rin D. Okay. Why what's wrong? Balik ko na ako basa. What is the tone of the following lines from Shakespeare's Hamlet? Katong what a piece of work is a man kay Mercury. The following lines from Robert Browning's My Last Touches exemplify what poetic strategy? Monologue. From what perspective is the following story told? I could picture it. I have a rotten habit of picturing the bedroom scenes of my friends. We went out to the Cafe Napolitain to have an aperitif and watch the evening crowd on the boulevard. From the Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway, first person. What type of irony does Shakespeare use in Antony's speech? Verbal irony. What do the following lines from William Blake exhort? To appreciate even the smallest of things. Thanks. What poetic device is exemplified in the following lines from Edward Taylor's Housewifery? A literary conceit. What does the persona in Housewifery ask God to do? Complete him as a human being. Which two sound devices did Alexander Pope use in the following lines? Alliteration and onomatopoeia. What figure of speech is exemplified below? The wind stood up and grave shout, he whistled. Manamani personification. Dili ko ng math, dili ko ng biology, dili ko ng language, dili ko ng syntax, dili ko ng okay. Answeran sa ano? Answeran. English Part 2. He is more concerned with mundane matters like the movement of stock market. The capitalized word means, ang capitalized word kay mundane. Letter A, simple. Ang mundane kay simple. Okay, number 2. The depravity of the criminal's behavior shocked us all. The capitalized word means, ang capitalized word kay depravity. The answer is letter D, viciousness. Viciousness. Ang spelling kay Viciousness. Viciousness. Okay. Depravity or viciousness. Indulgent parents spoil their children by giving in to their every demands and whims. Ang indulgent kay letter C, generous. Okay. Open, secretive, forthright. For A, spiteful. Open, secretive, forthright, spiteful. Negligent, requirement, remiss, duty. It is blank. To try to destroy pest completely with pesticide, for as each new chemical pesticide is introduced, the pest gradually become blank to it. The answer is 5, letter B. Kaya man number 6 naman. Letter C. Though it is worthwhile to try to destroy pests completely with pesticides, for each new chemical pesticide is introduced, the pests gradually become immune to it. Number 7, kay letter C. Pahitaon sila kung answer daan. The famous Dr. C. Drew's technique for preserving and storing blood plasma for emergency use proved so blank complex that it became the blank blueprint for the present blood bank system by Red Cross. Number 8, kay C. And an A rating represents the ultimate honor a film will ever have. Which of the following is the opposite of the capitalized word? Ang capitalized word kay ultimate. Ang answer kay least. The vindictive politician spread rumors about his opponent. Which of the following is an antonym of the capitalized word? Ang capitalized word kay vindictive. Number 9, answer kay letter B, forgiving. Antonym man. Okay. 10A. Vegetarians have a variety of reasons for their beliefs. That some refuse to eat meat because they believe that the killing of animals is unnecessary or barbaric. They feel that processes such as butchering are degrading to the people who practice them and cruel to the animals slaughtered. Others believe that meat is harmful to the human body and that purely vegetable diet is more nutritious. Still others choose vegetarianism because they believe that raising animals for meat is an inefficient use of land. They say that farmland could be put to be better used growing crops for human consumption. Which of the following statements is best supported by the above passage? Some vegetarians choose not to eat meat mainly for health reasons. 11. The amount of your retirement benefits from Social Security depends in part on when you retire. The earliest that you can begin to receive benefits is age 62. The longer you wait to begin receiving benefits is up to age 70. The higher your benefits will be if you were born between 1938 and 1960. You cannot receive full retirement benefits until age 66. If you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age will be 67. If you wait to receive benefits past your full retirement age, the amount you receive will continue to increase until you reach age 70. There is no advantage to waiting past age. Ang money dili naman ni 1 minute na. Stem. page age 70 to begin receiving benefits. You can continue to work while you receive retirement benefits. If you do, the amount of your benefits will be reduced by $1 for every $2 you earn above a certain limit until you reach your full retirement age. Once you reach your full retirement age, this limit no longer applies. The amount you can earn will have no effect on your benefits. According to this passage, which of the following statements is true? Okay, the answer for number 11 is letter B. If you were born in 1950, your full retirement age is 66, diba? Pinuang mo na yung question. The volunteers from the fire department blank quickly and extinguished a fire on our country road. The answer is letter B, responded. In Tuesday's paper, the owner of the supermarket was recognized for helping a customer who blank on the icy sidewalk. Number 13, the answer is letter B, had fallen. We arranged the flowers and placed blank in the center of the table. Number 14, letter A, them. The person blank made this delicious cheesecake has my vote. The answer is letter B, who. Being too blank will undoubtedly make other men hate you. Letter C, vain. Being too vain will undoubtedly make other men hate you because they did not accept his basic blank. 17, D. Because they did not accept his basic motivation, they were confused by his argument. The failed July 27, 2003 mutiny was believed by many as a plan by the Magdalo Group as an attempt to stage a takeover of government. It was viewed as a desperate attempt by the mutineers, who were supported by influential and politically motivated men who financed the mutiny. According to Feliciano Commission, the action was found to be unconstitutional as it violates both the Articles of War and the revised Penal Code. Such act can lead to either court-martial or civilian proceedings, or even both. The best title for the above article is 18. Letter B. Okay. Illegal soldiers uprising. 19. Determine which may be the best order in which the sentence should be arranged to result in a well-organized paragraph. A. Now we shall do everything we can to enforce this law. B. In the struggle against crime, government and people should join hands. Oops, ay, ang history, wala akong history. Grab somebody, drink a little more. Okay. Asa na kayo? Determine which may be the best order in which the sentences should be arranged to result in a well organized paragraph. A. Now we shall do everything we can to enforce this law. B. In the struggle against crime, government and people should join hands. C. Republic Act 7659, the Death penalty. The death penalty. Law is government's response in a law against cruelty and heartlessness. The law's main objective is not retribution but reform and rehabilitation of offenders and would-be offenders. All countries in the world are presently sieged by violent crime. The answer for number 19 is letter B. Ang arrangement daw ay A, B, C, D, A. So, una, all countries in the world are presently sieged by violent crime. Sunod, letter B. In the struggle against crime, government and people should join hands. And letter C. Republic Act 7659, the death penalty law is government's response in law against cruelty and heartlessness. Letter D. The law's main objective is not retribution but reform and rehabilitation of offenders and would-be offenders. Letter A. Now we shall do everything we can to enforce this law. Okay. 20. The answer is letter B. Orange gyapon. Tagaytay, orange should be, okay, orange lang yapon. Tagay, A. Lain so. Determine which be the best order in which the sentences should be arranged to result in a well-organized paragraph. Letter A. Tagaytay is the destination for us who love nature. Letter B. It provides an ideal picnic ground for outdoor lovers. C. Unfortunately, the place ends up abused by outdoor lovers who litter the place. Letter D. It is a place which can be easily reached by a 2-hour drive from Makati City. The answer is letter B, A, D, B, C. So, una A, Tagaytay is the destination for us who love nature. Then sunod, it is a place which can be easily reached by a 2-hour drive from Makati. Then B, it provides an ideal picnic ground for outdoor lovers. Then C, unfortunately, the place ends up abused by outdoor lovers who litter the place. Okay. English part 5. Napa siya pa part na balaan na. Okay. 1. Identify the play from which lines are taken. Wilt thou be gone? It is not yet near day. It was the nightingale and not the lark. The period, the fearful hollow of thine ear. Nightly she sings on your pomegranate tree. Believe me, love, it was the nightingale. The answer is letter B. Othello. Identify the poem. Ang sarang sabi. 2C ABC. Okay, 2C A B E then C. Number 6. Kakakabansin. 1 B 2C 3 A. Mali. Mali siya. I-chat na lang ba? Good night to you. Good night. Good morning. There's one more thing that ask of you, Lord, it would be peace here on earth, as gentle as your children's love. Tanda pa ko Romeo and Juliet 1, di ba? A. Number 3, D. Okay, para sure kan number 4, D. Number 5, B. B. Number 7, A. A. Okay, pwede na i-highlight kinakita ng mali. Ay, ang tubig. So morning is love. These things. Okay, identify the play from which lines are taken. Well, thou begun, it is not yet near day, it was the nightingale and not the lark period. The fearful hollow of thine ear, nightly she sings on your pomegranate tree. Believe me, love, it was the nightingale, Romeo and Juliet. Kani kay English Reviewer, Part 1. Identify the poem from which the following line are taken. Drink to me only with thine eyes, and I will pledge with me, or leave a kiss but on the cup, and I'll not look for wine. Ode to the west wind. Ini asong to sila. Ay, tama. Asong to sila day. Sangkoy. Answer kay asong to sila. Identify the poem from the lines are taken. Have glimpse that would make me less forlorn. Have sight of Proteus rising from the sea. Oh, here old Triton low is with wreath horn. The world is too much with us. 4. Identify the author of the poem, turn which the following lines are taken. Oh, is she rosely loved? Is she lovely roast? Oh, is she lovely sung as seashells? Jose Garcia Villa. Number 5, B. Who said this? Who said these are the times that try men's souls? Thomas Paine. Ay, okay, Thomas Paine. Number 6. Who wrote the novel War and Peace? Tolstoy, labi ako nabalaan. 6, letter D. Okay, si Tolstoy. Hindi siya din. Identify the play from which the lines are take. All that glitters is not gold. Often you have heard that told. Many a man his life had sold, but my outside to behold. Glided toms to norms enfold. Letter A. 7, letter A. Merchant of Venice. Then what does William Norris want you to do in the sea? The lip. If your lips would keep from slips, 5 things observe with care. To whom you speak, of whom you speak, and how, when, and where. Letter D. To observe confidentiality. To show kindness lagi to. Anyway. Identify the form from which the lines are taken. All left me as a wave-led cloud. I fall upon the thorns of life. I bleed. A heavy weight of ours has chained and bowed 1, 2 light, 3 tameless, and swift and proud. The answer is number 14 is letter A. Ode to the west wind. Okay. 10:15. Letter A daw. What figure of speech is used in the lines below? His bright eyes ruled, they never seemed to settle, and glittered like the flowers beneath a kettle. Geoffrey Chaucer, the Canterbury Tales simile. Which type reading is choral reading? Number 16, letter B, shared. Ako nabalaan kay reading aloud. Did I? Okay, shared the answer. Kung kahit lahat answer ang review centers. Pero yung answer rate ka ay shared man. So, problema na niya. Of the different principles of effectiveness teacher of reading which is improperly stated. Kapoy man basa. Good night. Thank you for watching as always.